Hey guys, Dave, Ohm Healing and Wellness TV, coming to you live from the NorCal 2015 Cannabis Cup here with the man, Danny Danko, the head cultivation editor at High Times Magazine. Danny, thank you for coming out today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been beautiful out here. It's been a wonderful time here, the High Times Cannabis Cup, the 5th year here in Northern California, so we're really excited to be back.
Well, I'm really excited to be here and be here with you because you have a lot of very exciting things going on. Now, if you guys haven't been following what Danny's doing, be it if you're just getting into growing and you want to hear people who speak on small scale to big scale growing, or you're an up and coming activist, or you're somebody who's got a good collective going and you're gaining some momentum and you want to get some ideas from somebody who works with the best of the best in the industry, you guys should definitely check out his Free Weed podcast. Now, what would you say right now? What are you most excited about as far as, some of the most recent guests? You had Jorge, who has his new book out. We had 82 was live from the last seminar, and you just did yours on the concentrates right just now. So coming fresh off of that stage to the stages of the world, what were some of the biggest takeaways that you even found from some of your peers on the stage regarding the state of concentrates and things that are, what you guys were talking about on there?
Well, what's amazing is that it's ever changing, and I found that the innovations going on with non-solvent hash is very exciting because just every cup, the entries that we get in that category seem to be improving, and it was like that maybe 2 or 3 years ago with solvent, based hash, but it's sort of reached a plateau, and it's just exciting to see with non-solvent that we haven't reached that plateau yet. The flavors are there. I mean, the stuff is, when you press it, it's dabbable and amazing, terpy. All the things that people love about dabs are contained also in the best made solventless, so that's exciting to me. A lot of the studies being done on terpenes and more minor cannabinoids, things like CBV and CBVA and all these. There's just so much we can learn from the plant still, and in the absence of a heavily regulated market, we can learn that as long as we get the science involved, we get the chemists and the microbiologists and people who really know what they're doing to really explore. We're really just at the tip of the spear right now, with what can be discovered from cannabis. So,
absolutely. I mean, we have so many new boutique oil companies and BHO companies that are bringing in some exotic clone-only strains, and that's their thing, and they're doing a great job, and it's very terpy, and things are still booming for them. But it is interesting to me. It's interesting to me. What do you predict as far as seeing like the home resin, I just said resin, the home rosin market, right, scaling up? Do you see the game being changed based on what we're seeing with say, rosin, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's also a very safe process. I'm kind of amazed that it took this long for people to figure it out because it's so simple. Not the greatest yield in the world, but like Addison said, grow more pot. If you grow more pot, you can do a lot more experimentation, and the yield isn't quite as important as the quality of the final product that you get. I gotta say, I saw a CO2 oil that was super terpy, totally dabbable, and the first thing you thought when you hit it wasn't, oh, that's a CO2 oil. It was, this tastes really good and it's amazing. So even the innovations in carbon dioxide extraction have made leaps and bounds. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And so rosin, of course, is like, so simple and yet so innovative in a way. You just press the bud, with a $15 hair straightener, flattener, with some parchment, and you get a couple of nice dabs out of a greasy nugget, and you could have broken it up and smoked a joint, but here you got a couple of dabs, and it's instantly available and hits hard, and it's pretty amazing.
That's interesting that you mentioned that. We talk about therapy and in these strains, like even TGA a year ago in a video I was doing with him said, people talk about, I've got a 30% THC situation, but no CBN, no CBD, no terps, where is it? So we talk about finding all the science with terpenes, and it's funny because actually at that same area, that same location, I was doing a video with Addison, and Kay from Trichome Technologies was sitting on the side, and I was talking to him, and he actually mentioned it on stage at that seminar, was what you just mentioned, the fact that he was saying then, and again, this is back then, that CO2, the terps aren't there with supercritical extractors, the terps aren't there. And look at this now. Look at what you're bringing to the table now with this kind of insight. You know, it's so interesting.
It's ever changing. Literally month to month, where people are coming up with new things and showing us, you know, pure THC with you know, terpenes that were taken, cannabis-derived terpenes that were taken out and then re-added to solutions. And so, I mean, it's just really amazing what people are coming up with. And there's still much more to discover, which is the exciting part. You know, there's just a wealth of information and medicinal benefits and incredible discoveries yet to be made.
Yeah, so in the sea, we have so many patients and you know, all sorts of people watching this. In the sea of information, there's more content being put on the internet and on Instagram in 48 hours than the last 48 years every day. Like, literally, that's a statistic. So where would you say right now, as to what you said, things are changing like pretty much every month. What are your favorite places, aside from, if you guys aren't subscribed to Danny's podcast, Free Weed, you can go to iTunes and you can do that now. But aside from that, where do people want to watch besides High Times, Free Weed? What are some of your favorite places and people that you suggest that these folks who are kind of wondering this, they're going, well, okay, but how do we keep up with that?
It's funny to say, but I've learned a ton just from Instagram and following certain people, you know, people in the rosin world, Cuban grower, people like that. Instagram, I mean, people are posting videos up there. People are posting. Oh man, I mean, it's hard to pick. I'd have to like whip out the phone and check it out. But yeah, Mortimer Says, you know, I love seeing the female extractors get their due, because they're doing incredible work in what looks like a pretty male-dominated industry, and you know, gender is not a factor when it comes to making great hash, which is a great thing. And I think you know, there's a lot of people like Mortimer Says and Gendo and people like that out there, and then, you know, Cuban Grower and people who are, you know, at that forefront and willing to share the information. That's the important thing. They're not keeping it, you know, proprietary to themselves. They're sharing it so that more people have access to higher quality meds, and I think that's really important.
And that's an important lesson. On a side note, I feel like the people who have the most abundant mindsets, not just in keeping cuts and clones and this and that, look at the most successful people. Look at Scott Reacher Rare Dankness, the most generous, abundant person, right? And he's giving things away, and so it's like you will attract that. So thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the funny things about calling the podcast Free Weed is that I like to sort of remove that commerce from the equation, and I find that the more herb and hash that I give away, the more seems to accumulate, you know, and I see that in other people as well, and you know, that really goes to just spreading the knowledge, spreading the medicine, spreading the joy that we all gain from using cannabis and cannabis-derived products. So, and we're just showing the world how safe and therapeutic and special this wonderful plant is. So I don't know, that's what we celebrate, and we keep fighting because, you know, people are still in jail, soldiers are still denied benefits for using marijuana and can't use medical marijuana. These are people who fought overseas for our freedoms and all of that, and there's still a long way to go, but it's amazing how much wind is at our backs and how much things are changing quickly. I love it. You know, it's exciting to see, and the future is wonderful to behold.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the thing. We don't get what we want, we get who we are. And there's a perfect example of it right here. So once again, Danny Danko, cultivation editor. Check out his articles. The new issue got Obama on the cover. A little nudge, as you said. Let's use our influence. And Free Weed podcast on iTunes. 2015 Cannabis Cup. Dave from Ohm Healing and Wellness. If you're not subscribed, you know what to do. We will see you on the other side. Danny, thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you.